Okay, let's get 30. All right. Hi and welcome everyone. This is the Hobo Prepper and I am Friar Tuck. As you see, I got my head shaved. Finally got a haircut. And I've got some updates for you guys. And Tuesday's video is going to talk a little bit about it. I kind of had a drunk rant, not drunk rant, but it was just a rant that I kind of wanted to, say what was really on my mind because I had a video that really took off. And I was watching what people were saying as far as, just some people are scared, some people are worried, things like that. Okay, and I will tell you guys that I will probably end up deleting the live video and uploading a brand new video, or uploading this video, because just where I'm at, it's a dead zone. And it's kind of, unless this video doesn't skip like the last one, it's going to be really hard. Hey, so it looks like I got somebody. Come on. Come in. Give me my kilobytes. So I'm like right next to a dedicated internet, so I don't understand why it's not working. But, okay, so I'm going to, if this skips like the last video, I'm going to go through the process of uploading that video. Once that uploads, then I'm going to delete this video. But if you are in chat, would you please say hi so I know that the chat is working? That way I can, yeah, there we go. I think the chat should be working, but I'm not exactly sure. So if you are here, go ahead and say hi, just so that I can make sure chat is working. If you guys have any questions along the way as I'm telling you and giving you my updates, go ahead and just put something down in the or put something in the chat, and I will answer your questions. But one of the things I really want to talk about is small businesses. Okay, so something interesting that had happened is that when I was in Cave Springs, I ended up meeting one of the council members, and she introduced me to her cousin, who is also a council member, and I got to stay at his place. Well, she called ahead up the trail because she wanted to make sure that because it's like a 20 some odd mile road walk. Be able to stay, she wanted to confirm, and it turns out that she wanted to make sure that everything was good. Okay, Paranoid, hey, I see you made it on time, congratulations. All right, so but the way that this thing, let me see about doing something like, no, oh, okay, so that's how that works. Okay, okay, and just a guess, I see that you're here as well. Okay, so anyway, she ends up calling ahead, and one of the small business owners that's kind of struggling as far as getting people in and keeping people working for him and stuff like that. Hi, Isaac, how are you? And stuff like that. Turns out he needed some help, and he needed some help really bad. And so what ended up happening was I offered to start working for him, because I need to make some money while I was on trail, while I was waiting for my YouTube channel to become monetized, which I have finally applied for the second it became available. I applied for my YouTube monetization. I'm just waiting for that to be approved. And after working for him for a day, I'm like, you know what, this guy really needs help. And I was seeing the struggles that he was having and stuff like that. So I worked really hard because I wanted to write my own ticket. See, this is going to be the economy of the future. Those that really know how to work and that are good workers, you will have the ability to write your own ticket. What I mean by writing your own ticket is you can go and negotiate your own terms and your own whatever it is that you want, versus just like, what are you paying? I need a job. Please help me. Da 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 da. So it takes you from, in my opinion, takes you from a state of a beggar to becoming more like a state of a, I don't know what you call it, more like a, you get to more control over your own destiny. So I told him, I says, look, I owned a business and I know how to do digital marketing. And I can help you guys get your digital footprint, and get yourself out there. You're kind of in the middle of nowhere in like a dead zone, so it's kind of a little bit of a pain in the ass for you guys to get yourself going. And so I told him I would also help out, because I know that it was short on people in the kitchen. Just a small little restaurant, it's a bar and restaurant and convenience store all rolled up into one. It's quite interesting. So I went through and I made my offer to him and he accepted my offer, but things keep changing and keep morphing to a point where now I feel like it's a vortex. It's kind of sucking me in and I'm not exactly sure what to do. And I'm doing what I can do. So congrats on the, yes, thanks, Just a Guest. Oh, and by the way, guys, just so you know, I'm gonna have to re-upload my this video because I'm getting signal, but I'm worried about the other thing. I'm not getting the 3,000 to 6,000 kilobytes that I need. So we will see. I might try the restaurant next Sunday. So I offered to stay until March because that's when I can get up on the Appalachia Trail and start doing my thing there. So it is sorry guys, I'm still tired. I've worked like 8 days in a row without a day off, like a minimum of 12 hours a day. Like this guy really needs some help. And I am exhausted. I told him I needed at least 1 day a week off, so Sundays are my day off so that I can do my live stream with you guys and focus on making my videos for the next week and getting them uploaded. But as things have morphed, there's a lot of complications. The typical crap that goes on with small businesses. You've got the government with their regulations that are coming in and trying to shut them down. And plus being in a small town, you got to deal with the good old boy network. And if you're new in town or if you're not established in town, you got to really go through the school of hard knocks, and that's a pain in the ass. So it is what it is, and there's nothing that I can do about that part. But now because had to go through and get my certification, he's getting a new staff almost every week, and the people aren't. They're either burning the food or they're getting overworked and they're quitting because of that. Small businesses are struggling, and so if you are really trying to do your part to make sure that America stays successful, one of the things that you should really consider doing is working with a small business. A small business is something that will that's the heart and soul of America. Without small businesses, America is nothing more than a giant corporate parking lot. And so helping a small business out is probably one of the more patriotic things you could do at this point in time, especially if you want to ensure that the economy is not going to crash as bad as it is, because we need to support our small business owners. We need to support the mom and pop shops more than supporting Walmart and Target and Tesla and all these large corporations, because they've got it made. They are the ones that have the money to go to Congress to lobby for regulations, and those regulations hurt small businesses because small businesses don't have an opportunity to really. It's harder to be compliant as a small business than as a corporation, because as a corporation you can hire a team of lawyers, you can hire specific staff and stuff like that. And so this is how large corporations keep small businesses from growing to become their competition, because I think it was Rockefeller who said that competition was a sin. And what he was saying is that he wanted no competition. And so as a small business, this is something that you really need to be thoughtful of for your for your community. And so whatever you can do, I was in and out and missed something. So you're staying till March. Maybe you can get your gear. Yeah, actually, you're correct. That's actually part of the reason. So this is mutually beneficial. So this is the deal that I made with them. And I'm kind of, it keeps getting lumped more and more on me. So the deal that I made with Wheels, who's the owner, is that I will work for him until March, and I will help out, but I will also do his digital marketing. He pays me separately for the digital marketing, and then he pays me for the work that I do in the store, kitchen, bar, whatever you want to call it. Okay. I'm always going to be making content. It may not be on trail, and once I get my new gear, so I mean it's going to take me a minute to get a regular paycheck coming in, just because of cost of living and stuff like that. Now I do get to stay here, okay, on site. So okay, get worked out unless you're planning on staying longer. What about new content? Okay, so that is something that as far as like new content and gear and stuff like that, I'm gonna be going out. I'm gonna be day hiking. So like maybe Saturday after I get off, then I will go out and I will do my gear and stuff like that. And I'll probably be getting at least one piece of new gear a week. Now, as far as prepping there and being a hobo, okay, part of the hobo lifestyle is you are traveling looking for work. So this is right within my realm and within my scope of what it is that I what it is that I do. So I nothing's really going to change except for, I'm not going to be on trail for a few months. But yes, I will be getting my gear done. I will be doing probably a lot more gear reviews because I will have money coming in so that I can afford the gear that I need. I want to make sure that when I hit the AT in April, that I'm not caught with my pants down, because I'm telling you, this is one of the important lessons that I've learned in all of my hiking. And so the Florida Trail, I mean, minimal gear, you can do it. But the farther north you get, the more up in elevation you get, the more things that are going on, because weather can change, and I'm used to hotter weather, so I need to be able to have gear that's going to keep me warm and help me climatize to being farther north. I mean, right now I'm in like northwest Georgia, so I'm probably about 30 miles past the border, maybe 20 miles past the border. Okay, so I'm not very far past the border, but I have crossed over into North Georgia, and the weather is cooler here. It rains more here. So I mean, it's been raining, very consistently for the last week that I've been here. So I as far as my content goes, I don't really see much of a change in it, other than I may do a little bit more commentary. I will, I'll be able to show you some of the gear that I'm doing, and you guys will be able to follow along in my story and my travels, because as SHTF happens, you're not gonna, I mean, you could travel 4,000 miles if you wanted to, or even 1,000 miles if you wanted to. But at the end of the day, you're gonna need to be able to support yourself. Unless you can do all your own hunting, your own cleaning, unless you can be completely self-sufficient, which I'm not to that point yet. If I was to that point, then, I could definitely just say, screw it and move on. Now, things may fall apart here and I may get back on the road and I'm going to have to figure things out. But as it goes right now, I want to make sure and ensure that this small business is successful. And it gives me an opportunity to build my own reputation, because as I travel, if I decide I need to make some money because, let's say the monetization process isn't paying me enough, or I need some high ticket gear that I just can't afford right then and there, because these guys are going to be giving me a letter of recommendation at the end of service, so that I can use that as, part of my resume too, as I go through. And I see other small businesses that are starting up, or other mom and pop shops that really need to get their digital footprint out, because we're in the digital era. And if you don't have a digital footprint, then it's going to be harder for people to see you, especially in small rural towns, if you're trying to get the passerbys. Like, these guys are right on Highway 100, Georgia Highway 100, and they're also next to a really popular fishing hole. Well, but the thing is when you drive by this place, it's nothing. It's like farmland, farmland, farmland. And then blip, there's the restaurant, and then you just keep on going. You need to be able to let people know that you are there, so that it slows down that traffic, so that they pull in and they start using the services of that small business. Okay, but as far as hiking, like I said, I'm taking a couple of months just to resituate my gear, to make sure that I am prepared, because when I went out with my bike, I had top of the line, top notch gear. I had a great tent. I had I had good sleeping pad. My sleeping bag was good. I had all the gear I needed. But when some of it started getting stolen, or people, just stuff would walk off, I lost a lot of that gear. And plus, some of the stuff that I had that was very valuable, in order to keep it from getting stolen, I ended up, just selling it to a pawn shop. So I at least got something from it, instead of it growing legs and walking off. So I lost my ass on that, doing the bike, because I wasn't able to be completely attached to my bike every second of the day like I am able to do with my backpack. Okay. And so I need to get the right gear for me. Now, living on a budget, I can do it. I can survive. I can, I may need a couple of things along the road, but if I had to walk out tomorrow, I could make it to Katahdin, no problem. It's going to be a little bit uncomfortable. It's going to be a little bit miserable, but I can, it's something that I could do. I want to be able to make sure that I have the right stuff, and that, because Paranoid, you have given me so many great ideas on gear that I need. We're talking about a radio. We're talking getting loaded out on other things, and so again, I don't really see much of a change coming to the channel, other than I'm going to be off trail for a couple of months, but then I'll be right back on trail. I have every intent of getting back on trail, and there's going to come a point where I'm going to have to tell the guys, like, look, you got to stand on your own 2 feet. You can't, you can't rely on me 100%. I want to ensure your success, but I'm just here to help him get his foundation under him, which means he needs to get his employees settled. He needs to get a proper staff. He needs to have them properly trained. He needs to be able to have his digital footprint and all those different things. And that's going to take a few months, just because of of just how it works in the digital realm. Not only that, but just kind of how advertising works. It's not like all of a sudden you put up an ad and you got 1 million customers. No, it takes time. It takes preciseness as far as like strategy and stuff like that, to be able to make sure that you have a consistent footprint that your ideal customers can find. And that's where that's going to take some time. Okay, my thoughts on gear I use and still use my gear. You should build around. Actually, worry less about gear and cheap China gear and push for that. Exactly, Paranoid. Exactly. You're hitting the nail on the head there, Paranoid. That's exactly what I've been talking about. Is that's kind of what my idea was this was mutually beneficial for me and for him. He needs the help. Otherwise he's going to be out of business, or he's going to have to close portions of his business. And he wants to stay up and he wants to stay running, versus and then what I need money for gear. I need to be able to have the proper gear. I need to be able to take some time and rest and retool and resituate myself, so that I am more prepared for the coming times. Okay. And so it became a mutually beneficial thing. That's why I said the first day I was just here. I was only supposed to be here till like Tuesday, and then I was supposed to be back on trail. But again, I saw that he really needed help. And, I love the food here. The food is absolutely amazing. It's really good, and it's as good as JR's. if you guys remember me talking about JR's Auxilia River gas station there in right outside of St. Mark's, it's just as good. But these guys needed help and JR's didn't. So, this is where I'm able to, plant my feet for a minute. But again, this is mutually beneficial for all of us. He gets what he needs, I get what I need, and I'm not paying rent. I'm actually in where I'm staying. So they have a little hiker shed where people can stay. All the hikers, because they help the hiker community. And so I'm staying in the shed. So I'm in out of the elements. When it gets cold, I'll be able to stay warm. When it rains, I'll be able to stay dry. I have my hammock set up, so I'll sleep in my hammock till about 3 o'clock in the morning. And then when I get up to use the bathroom, I just come in here just because it's a little bit warmer, and plus I don't like getting back in my hammock. It's a pain in the butt because there's only one spot where I can put it, and it's in such a weird spot. It's harder to get in there. So maybe ask around about vets. Some may still have some packed away. Check local stores. Not sure what is there. Dude, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, the closest town is like 15 miles from here. This is just like, it's like one of those gas stations that's in between towns. Because he has a gas station as well. That it was an old property that was that was let go, and so he spent a year rebuilding it, and he's been open for about 2 months, and he's been struggling the whole 2 months, not only with staff but to deal with the government henchmen that come in. And I mean, they're doing their job. There's nothing wrong with what they're doing. It's just when you're in small towns and small areas, there's a good old boy network. And if you piss off the wrong person, they can make your life hell. And that's part of the reason why the government's coming in and dealing with them, is because one disgruntled employee, one disgruntled person, because they didn't get what they thought they deserved, just because of their self-entitlement, well, then they're going to make his life hell. And that's part of that's the fires I'm trying to help him put out. So I was just supposed to be just regular staff, but because I'm really good at everything that I do, it's just, it's not that I'm, tooting my own horn, but I'm when I set my mind to do something, I do really good at it. And because I'm doing good at it, he's going to have me manage his whole kitchen, because I'm a rule Nazi. And right now, with dealing with government regulations, you need a rule Nazi in there so that they can, help out and make sure that you stay compliant. Because, I mean, he's in a catch-22, and there's not much that I can say about that. But, he's in a catch-22 because if you're retraining your staff every week, it's kind of hard to get everybody compliant and doing the right things. And then you've got, let's say, the health inspector that comes in, and because the people, he's taking what he can get, and he's being patient and working with everybody. It's like, okay, you need to go get your food handler's card, and so that you can work here, but you can work in the back until then. Because as a small business, especially as a small startup, he's struggling. He's struggling in every which way a small business can struggle. Now, I guess he owns a body shop that he's had for years. This is a second business for him, but he never had to deal with the struggles. It's kind of like somebody who starts a YouTube channel and really blows up really quick, and then they decide to start a new channel, and all of a sudden they realize the struggles that everybody else has, and then they have to struggle to get to that point that they were with their other channels that just blew up. I mean, some channels blow up, most of them don't. It takes time. It's just, I'm kind of using that as an analogy. Because in business, it's the same way. If you have a business that just really takes off, and then you're like, oh, cool, I'm great in business, I'm going to go do another business. Then all of a sudden you're like, crap, I didn't realize how hard this was. I didn't realize the struggles. And he wanted this to be more of a turnkey operation. And you can't build a brick and mortar as a turnkey operation. It just doesn't work that way. If you want a turnkey operation, go buy a McDonald's, go buy a Burger King, go buy a franchise. But you're going to build a brick and mortar, and then you want it to be like a turnkey operation. It doesn't work that way. But and you also have to deal with the stubbornness. It's part of being a business owner. I know. And one of the most fascinating parts about all of this is that watching him is kind of like it's kind of like looking in the mirror and going, oh, now I understand why I had some of the problems I had. Now I understand where I was going wrong in my own business. Now I was able to keep everything afloat because I did an unregulated business on purpose because I didn't want to deal with the government. But when you're dealing with food, it's regulated. When you're dealing with gambling, it's regulated. When you're dealing with alcohol, it's regulated. And those, especially here in the South, because of the whole religious thing, they really don't want the hard alcohol here and all that stuff because it's considered a sin and this and that and the other. So, you have to deal with that, and then the societal pushback on that when because these guys have a unique license. They're the only ones in the county that can actually sell liquor. And so they had, that is another reason for the government to come in and really put the screws to them, partially because they want to, their societal norms, the culture of the area is like, no, we're heavily Christian. We just have a beer, but you don't need to be drinking whiskey. Da 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 da. Okay, and so you have a lot of like dry counties and stuff like that around here. So to be able to bring that in, it can be a pain in the ass because you're fighting an uphill battle. And this guy picked thinking that it was going to be a lot easier, not realizing what he was going to be facing. He's it's a and then having to deal with the stubbornness of being an owner. I mean, you can't be an owner without being stubborn, I think, in my opinion, because you're the one that sets policy. The buck stops with you. But that is in a nutshell what is going on. That is, so I want to make sure that you guys are aware of it. But this will also give me some more consistency in my channel. I'm going to start posting videos for Tuesdays and Thursdays, and if I have an opportunity for an extra video, I'll do one on Saturdays. Okay, I'll usually post them a few days in advance because like I said, these guys, I haven't worked less than 10 hours, and I've done a 16-hour day once, and it's grueling. It's taking a lot out of me. But the thing is it's easier to work 15 hours than it is to hike for like 8 to 10. Just because of the physical thing. And so I was struggling with sleep for the first few days that I was here as well. But again, this is mutually beneficial. It's something that I think will help me in my travels. Plus, again, being a hobo, the name of this channel is The Hobo Prepper. And to be a hobo is to be a traveler that looks for work, that stops in towns and finds work. And so from time to time, maybe not as often once I get more money coming in through the partnership program, but at that point in time, it allows my philanthropy side to really kick in, and I don't really have to worry about pay. It's about seeing a small business that is struggling, that needs help, that is worth my time for me to step in and be like, okay, let me help you out. And I don't have to worry about pay or anything else like that. I can be like, don't even worry about it. I want to make sure that you guys are successful. And I mean, that's an opportunity for me to be able to do what I think is right, to do my part as a patriotic American. I mean, I love my country. I'm not a fan of the government. I think that they have completely screwed us and enslaved us. But on the other hand, I just, it's the people that make the country, not the government. And it's the people that I want to be patriotic to, not the government. The government is just, in some ways, as our founder said, is a necessary evil. And Paranoid, if you're still here, one thing I want to ask you is, you sent me an email last night, and I did not fully understand where that came from. if you could give me because you're telling me to hunker down because they're starting to round up the jumpers and stuff like that, and I didn't see a video attached to it either. But if you maybe ask, okay, as I said, when you get the app, change. Okay. But, I want to understand that email a little bit more. So if you could elaborate, I would really, really appreciate that. But this is what's going on. So do you guys have any questions for me? Now I did do a gear review, like just kind of showing you how you can travel on a budget if you don't have a lot of money. And things like that. And I know that I was asked if that backpack that's in my affiliate links is the same backpack that I use. And I'm telling you, it's similar, but it's not the same. The backpack that I'm using, you can buy it online for about, not a video from contacts. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I guess then things are working out in my favor because that would have really, really sucked. For me if I would have gotten caught up in that. So yeah, you know what? I've been saying that. I've been talking to, okay, so Paranoid, I hope you don't mind me talking a little bit about it. I will kind of be somewhat vague just because of, going through the monetization process. But essentially, what Paranoid sent me is that the people that are coming across the border and people that look like they're indigent are possibly being rounded up and sent to something like my great uncle. He was a remote part of the remote viewing project in the 70s, and he lived up in Washington, and he had like 5-10 acres of land. And it was right next to a FEMA camp. But those FEMA camps are the old Japanese internment camps. And so what he's suggesting, and I'm just saying this again as vague as possible, what is being suggested is that those camps are being reopened and they are starting to fill them up. I could see that happening. I know that, like when in Portland, when we had the whole housing crisis, everybody had to move out. Basically, with the homeless being swept out of there, it became almost like a ghost town. You didn't see homeless. It was really weird. And now they're back in even twice as strong as they originally were. But in like 2015, it was like a ghost town. 2016, it was a ghost town. It was really, really weird. And so, I mean, there is a big thing with homelessness that is going on. I mean, people are losing their homes. People are maxing out their credit cards. We're not hearing about it because the government needs to keep it hush hush. These politicians need to get reelected. And if we actually found out what was going on, these politicians wouldn't get reelected. They might even get tarred and feathered. You never know. So I agree with you, Paranoid, because even my friend back in Gainesville is telling me that once that they have pretty much swept all of the homeless out of Gainesville, which Gainesville was the only place where you could actually get any help if you wanted help from the homeless industrial complex. I mean, and plus they had ease of access to resources. But apparently Grace Marketplace was sold because I think that the guy that owned his first partner, she backed out to begin with. I think that he was a poor manager, a poor owner, and there was some other things that was going on. I was kind of under the impression that there is a possibility that he may have been on the take from the local gangs and stuff like that, which is why he allowed some of the stuff to happen that happened. Somewhere to say a bit, work on your stuff, have a plan B and C. Yeah. I am easily adaptable. But this is something that as a community, if you are a prepper or if you are in the possibility of losing all of your stuff, and another thing that you're going to have to worry about is eventually as a famine kicks in, because this year we're planting the last of our seed bank. If we don't have a good harvest this year, next year is going to be very, very scarce as far as food goes. I mean, that's why we're stealing food from Ukraine and having it come to the United States and Europe instead of sending it to the third world countries where it's supposed to be going. I mean, Putin even called us out on that. So there is a famine going on, and right now we're in a position where we can rob the world of all of their resources and bring it here so that we here in America aren't going to feel the crunch. But over the next year to 2 years, we're definitely going to feel that crunch, especially with right now, the guy that I watch for weather, Ryan Hall, y'all, he is talking about a super El Nino that is coming, which is going to be very, very disruptive to our crop system. So our crops are going to be even hit harder. So again, if we're using the last of our seed bank, this is something that we as human beings, preppers, as Americans, need to really start planning and preparing for, not only for ourselves, but to help out our community. I think as preppers, we kind of think about ourselves and think that the community is going to come rob us. But at the end of the day, if part of what you do needs to be able to help and benefit your community, and by doing that and working within your community will protect you, because it's in their own best interest, their own self-interest. Can be called up to fight in the Georgia militia. You run, you hang. Oh, really? I did not know that. Well, if I get... I'm not a Georgia resident, though. I'm not. I'm actually still a Florida resident. I still have my Florida, my Florida driver's license. So they may try and say because I've been here for an extended amount of time, but all I have to do is just say I'm domiciled, and so that protects me there. But I mean, Georgia militia. It's six in one hand, half dozen in the other. I'm not exactly sure, where I would stand, but we're all going to war. We have no workforce. We will need to make things, surround them up. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with militia. That has to do with the labor market. And with the labor market, you really need to, you're going to have to do something like universal basic income, or you're just going to have to suspend the Constitution, which means we go under martial law. Right now, and I got into a little bit of an argument with one of the people here trying to explain it to him. So one of the things that you guys should be fully aware of, and why the government can do what it can do, it goes all the way back to the Civil War, plus the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, okay? So just to give you a brief explanation, is that the United States government declared war on the rebels. I don't remember if it was the South or if it was the Confederate States, or if they declared war on the rebels. But Congress declared war. Once Robert E. Lee signed his surrender, Congress was supposed to bring us back into a state of peace, because that's why they're able to do martial law, was because we were in a state of war. Well, the thing is Congress used it to their advantage to be able to maintain their control, because they got drunk with power and did not declare peace. And so this is where the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendment came in, because they had to force the southern states to accept the 13th, 14th, and 15th, 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments, okay? And, it just, the 14th Amendment was never properly ratified. There is a huge argument that says it was never properly ratified, but between that and then with the 1917 Trading with the Enemies Act that was amended in 1940, which included U.S. citizens as enemy combatants. That's where Title 18 came from, and that was how they were able to do the Japanese internment camps. But because hostilities stopped, we went from martial law to martial rule, okay? And that's where our police force came from, because they used to be called peace officers. But, that's why our police are actually being militarized, is because as far as the federal government is concerned, based upon legalities, the Civil War is still going on. Okay, so this is something that you guys should be aware of, and this is why I keep telling people you do not have rights, you have benefits and privileges, because the Supreme Court continuously rules and says that the Bill of Rights, the first 8 amendments to the Constitution, was designed to protect the citizens of the several states from the federal government, not the federal citizens from the federal government. And as a U.S. citizen, which was created as a second-class citizen post-Civil War, because back then the states were the ones that were responsible for their own immigration, because they were their own sovereign nations. They came together in a union, just like the European Union. So they come together, but the thing is because of the Civil War, we became a national government instead of an independent republic like we were supposed to be. And so the freed black slaves, they had to figure out a way to give them citizenship. So they made them a U.S. citizen. Okay, and technically the United States, it's just the District of Columbia and all of its territories. It itself is not even a state. It is a territory, because that is all the federal government has the ability to regulate. Well, through a bunch of loopholes and all kinds of other things, they have gotten all of us to claim that we are U.S. citizens when we should be claiming to be citizens of our several states. Not only will that take you from a different legal jurisdiction, but it will also take you, it will put you in your rightful place if you really, really want to be abiding by the Constitution. But I'm telling you that common law is very, very harsh, and it is unforgiving. And a lot of people think, oh yeah, we need to go back to common law, not realizing the ugly side of it. Okay, now admiralty law, statutory law is way more forgiving, and it is what it is. So this is something that you as individuals should be fully aware of and look into, making sure that you protect yourself. And so when the federal government comes, you at least understand why they can do it. And instead of getting pissed off, you realize that you just didn't take the steps necessary to unwind yourself and become a non-resident alien to the United States. Doesn't mean that you're a foreigner. You're just foreign to the United States because you're a citizen of one of the 50 several states, okay? Just turned in and wanted to say, hey, going back to the beginning, watch it all. Keep up. Oh, thank you, Jeremy. Much appreciated. I know you're a new subscriber, so much appreciated. But this is some things that you guys should be aware of as far as legalities and where you stand and why the government can do what it can do. But that's where universal basic income will come in, is because they're not bound by the Constitution. They are bound by their own federal statutes that govern the internal governance of the United States, which is the District of Columbia and all of its territories, okay? And all of its property, because you are property of the federal government, whether you realize it or not. And this is why they can come in and tell you how to live your life, because you have not taken your rightful place as a citizen of one of the several states. And there is a process and a way to do it. I'm not going to tell you how to do it, because I don't want to end up in Gitmo as a paper terrorist. I mean, that's not where I want to be. So I like my freedom. And so some of these things, you have to self-educate yourself anyways. You can't, you can't just, sit there and say, oh, well, I'm sovereign now. I am my own boss, because it comes... The thing is a man on a desert island has no rights. And the reason why a man on a desert island has no rights is because each right has a corresponding duty and obligation. Your right to be free, to have freedom of speech, means that you need to be responsible with the speech in which you say. That means that you're not slandering, you're not lying, you're not misrepresenting. And that's why, there are certain speech that is protected and isn't protected, because there is a corresponding duty and obligation. And this is something that you as an individual need to fully be aware of, that if you want to claim your rights, in order for you to claim your rights, you have to figure out what the corresponding duty and obligation is. Your right to bear arms means that, yeah, you are now part of the local militia. And if at any point in time you choose to, or you get called up, you must go. Your right to, the different rights. Your right to privacy doesn't mean that just the federal government has to respect your privacy, but you must respect others' privacy as well, because that is your corresponding duty and obligation. The right to privacy means everybody gets it, not just you. Okay, and these are things that you need to. You're going to have to be a more responsible citizen. You can't sit there and go, well, hey, the rules apply to me or apply to you, but not to me. That's one of the things that some Trump supporters, I'm trying to get them to understand. It's like, you can't do that. I also, hold on a second. Let me see if I can find my wallet. Yeah, here it is. Hold on a second. So I came across, there is a vigilante group here in Georgia. They call themselves Tactical Civics. Here's their card, okay? Now, the lady stopped in, she talked, and I tried to reason with her in a very, very polite manner. But essentially what these guys are doing is that they're setting up kangaroo courts, and they're trying and convicting people without them even being present, without them having the ability to face their accuser. One of these courts convicted Obama of not being the president, and because he was a Kenyan resident, but Obama didn't even get a chance to go there and to represent himself. And plus it was a kangaroo court. It was self-appointed, self-righteous people that were doing this. And now what happens when this group all of a sudden turns violent and becomes vigilante group? And this is the thing, that if you're going to assert your freedom and who you are as an American, and fall under the Constitution and really follow it to the T, these are groups that you're going to have to really be aware of and stay away from. You don't want to get involved with them. I tried to explain to this lady that, she can't do what they're doing, and what they're doing holds no validity. To sit there and say you want to bring back common law, do you even know what common law is? Common law, so all the capital crimes that we have in our legal system, those capital crimes are actually common law crimes. Okay, and if you notice that they come with stiff and harsh penalties, those are the things that you're going to get the death penalty for, or life in prison without parole. Like murder and rape and all those things. Those are considered capital crimes, and those under common law, they have a very harsh penalty. And so these people think that they're doing the right thing because some wolf in sheep's clothing in his own sick and twisted mind has decided that he's going to prey on those that really, they know something's wrong, they want it to go back, but they don't understand. They don't understand what it was that they had and what it was that they lost. In a lot of ways, it's like Plato's cave. And because these people don't understand it, they are easily misled and easily manipulated. And this is something that you, if you want to assert your rights within the Constitution, you need to be aware of. You are a peacekeeper. As somebody who follows the competition or Constitution, you need to understand that you are there to bring harmony to the situation. Yes, he may be Kenyan, but at this point, it's moot. It's already happened. Precedence has already been set. We can't go back and change it. That's the thing. That's how they're getting a lot of this stuff done. So it's something that you as an individual need to be aware of and that you don't get caught up in, because part of the reason why the Freeman movement is labeled as paper terrorist by the Obama administration. It was because you had a bunch of whack jobs that would get out and they would show you all this paperwork, and if you didn't agree with them, then they would just start shooting at you. And a lot of cops, good cops, died. Not all cops are good, but a good majority of them are good. And they want to do their job. They want to do it right, and they want to be responsible within their community. But you're always going to have bad apples. And the harder you make it on those cops, the more bad apples you're going to attract, because the good ones just don't want to deal with the BS. Okay. And that's one thing that as a society, we need to really be thoughtful of. And so these guys would, and then once they got into a legal process, they would take these, some of them good cops, some of them bad cops. They would take these guys and they would run them through the ringer, take their retirement, take every one of their assets, do a claim on their bond. And so these guys would lose everything. And so they would come over to the proper part of the freeman community so that they could get protection. Hey, I need your help. And so they would get trusts, foreign trusts set up so that it would protect their assets in the event that they ever ran across one of the crazy freemen. And so, again, that's why instead of, as an individual, you need to be very, very careful in how you assert your freedoms, because there are a lot of crazy and irresponsible people out there that are, that need to, I don't even know what the word is, but you got to be careful. Okay. And I would really, really like to let you guys know that group themselves, just from what the lady was telling me, they're not doing anything to follow the Constitution. That's why they're getting deplatformed. That's why they are not able to get a voice on social media. They are a vigilante group that is running a kangaroo court. And if you want, take it to the ICC, okay? The International Criminal Court. If you really want to, now if they would have taken it to the ICC, it would have actually held good standing, and we could have gotten a foreign intervention to come in and help us remove a traitor, with whatever. So, when you do things properly, you're gonna have the proper entities that are gonna step up and that are gonna help, and they're going to do it right because you are doing it right. But when you do it wrong, all you're gonna do is just make everybody else look bad because you're uneducated and you don't know what the fuck you're doing. Okay, I don't mean to. Well, yes, I do mean to cuss, because that is one thing that really irritates me. I generally stay away from a lot of the freemen because of that. Because, yes, they may have the knowledge, but they're still looking at it from a point of victimhood versus a way to navigate yourself. See, you're not a victim, because once you have the knowledge, you now have the ability to properly navigate yourself through the system. You know what you can do, you know what you can't do, and the things, what's right and what's wrong. And you kind of have to work within the system to bring harmony to the system so that you can do the things that you want to do. And one of the groups that was really, really good, but ended up getting shut down because they were giving away too much information. And there were some crazies and crackpots that just wanted to get rich and get something for nothing. That actually brought them down. Because this is how I was able to take over 2 houses using adverse possession. This is why I have so many gag orders on me from the things that I've done within the legal system, because I followed their process, because they were doing it right. It is to bring harmony to the system. You're not there to destroy it. You're not there to burn it down. You're there to bring harmony. You call them out on the fraud that they're doing. And then once that fraud is recognized, then you have the ability to cause a change within the system. Okay, just like back in the 1830s, and this is going to be the final thing that I say before I start closing it out. Is back in the 1830s, we almost had the Civil War back then. It's the landlord-tenant laws of New York. So what would happen is if you got behind on your rent for your land, the landowner would come in and let's say you owed $5, okay? Well, the landowner would come in and take a horse, and that horse was $20. And so that landowner would pocket another $15 on top of the $5 you owed him, and then you still owed him $5 the next month or whatever, right? Well, the people got mad, and they rounded up all the landowners and the politicians, and they brought them before the court because they expected the court to try and convict them and put them in jail. But the court system said, no, this is a political issue. This has nothing to do with us. As the law stands, they're doing everything that they have the legal right to do. It is up to you to, in your next election cycle, to elect the proper politicians that will go in there and make the changes that you want. And so that's exactly what happened. Because, again, you can't take the law into your own hands. The system is designed to work properly if you educate yourself to use it properly. But so many of us have been miseducated and are uneducated and refuse to educate ourselves that we just go off on a whim based upon what somebody tells us without doing our own due diligence and without doing our own research. And this is what makes it so dangerous. This is why I got to keep my mouth shut about some of the things that I really, really know. And this is, I will tell you a little bit about it so that I can give you a hint so that you can go look it up yourself and start following the rabbit trail. But the thing is, one thing that happened to me when I did my research is instead of getting angry, I was like, oh, now I get it. Now I know how to operate. I wasn't mad. I wasn't angry. I didn't feel the need to go and burn the system down because, you have, if you want to be a child, hang out in the democracy, okay? Just enjoy it because mommy and daddy will make sure that you're fed and you're clothed and all that other stuff. But if you want to be a responsible human being, which is, there's very few Americans that are responsible, rationed, and reasoned. If you want to be a responsible human being, come on over to the Republic. The door's open if you know how to open it. And that is really the system that we have. I think it was I forget, he was supposed to be the next Kennedy, but he talked about it. America is the Republic, the blue America is the democracy, and he kind of let a little bit of the cat out of the bag, and that's why he was immediately they brought up all the dirt and got him out of the race really quick. Crystal Caves real close to you, gold on the northwest side of the state. That is good to know. No, this group right here, Paranoid, is local, but they are also national. So they're all over the place. It's let me see. Let me pull the thing up again. If you want to look it up, because you can look it up yourself, but their website is tacticalcivics.com, and it's based upon a book and a leader that they have. That they can look into. But that group themselves, again, they're a vigilante group, and I would be very careful on getting involved with them. Okay. But yeah, that should, if you want to look them up. But just from when I was talking to the lady, I mean, she was damn good looking, but no, in my opinion, it's crazy Christians. And just they're the fanatics that we all need to worry about. Just like we're worried about the Muslim fanatics, we should also be worried about the Christian fanatics, the Hindu fanatics, and all the fanatics in each religion, because the fanatics are what gives not only the religion and the faith a bad name, but it also causes harm, causes damage, because they're they're not the right people. Okay. So it looks like this thing held a stable review. I'm going to go back. I'm going to rewatch the whole thing. I'm going to go back and rewatch this video. And if the video doesn't, because I know I did 45 minutes last week, and it only showed 27 minutes of it. So if it looks like it cuts out most of it, I'm going to upload the video, because this records while I'm doing it so that you guys can get the full video and you're not missing the things that I'm saying. But you guys know how to help the channel. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. If you are subscribed, don't forget to hit the bell notification. If you wanna support me and my channel financially, you've got the tip jar, and you've also got you've got Patreon, and then also you've got my affiliate links down in the bottom. And I will start working on those as well, as far as getting them updated and getting decent gear in there. Now I'm gonna be following Paranoid's advice in getting stuff that I think is really good. Now I will give you the Amazon equivalent in my affiliate links. That way either you can go and see if you can find something that's exactly like what I have, or if you just want something that's similar like what I have. Okay, so with that being said, guys, thank you for being my subscribers. Thank you for helping me get to a point where I can apply to be monetized, and thank you for being here. And I truly appreciate it. And for until I get back on trail again, expect to see me every Sunday. Okay, yeah, that sounds really good. Blueberries. I'm on blueberry muffin right about now, but. If you guys, just every Sunday, it's going to be in the mornings, because even though it's my day off, I got to get that kitchen reorganized, because now I'm going to be managing the whole kitchen and training staff, and I need to make sure that we're compliant so that we can get the government off these guys' ass, and and then get to something smooth. And then I need to start finding my replacement before I get back out on trail. So I've got a lot of work, and so I don't think I'm going to have a day off for a very long time. But, on Sundays, I get to choose when I go to work and when I don't. And so if I want to work for an hour or two and then just like, I want to sit back, it is what it is. But anyways, guys, I will see you next Sunday on the live stream. Be sure to tune in to my Tuesdays and Thursdays video. And like I said, extra videos on Saturdays if I decide to make one. If you guys have any content questions that you would like, that you'd like me to make content on, I will be doing some commentary on current events and things that are going on, but I really want to focus on what I've been focusing on, which is trail and hobo life. So I will see you guys next Sunday.